Hey, what's up everybody? Thanks for joining me. I wanted to talk to you about a brand new Nikon lens I got that if you would have asked me 6 months ago even, and especially years ago, if I would own it, even think about wanting to use it and then enjoy it, I would have said not even close. The 28-400. That's what this little guy is. I got it mounted on the Nikon Z-mount III right here. And I gotta say, I love this little lens. So here it is at 28mm. There it is at 400mm. It's super light, especially when paired with a really light camera like this. There's like nothing to this. So here's why we got this. Emily and I travel a lot, as those of you that know us and how we live. We live in a van and we've been traveling around the country for a few years now. So we're on the road a lot, and here's the important part. We hike a lot. We do a lot of hiking in places we've never been. And so this time of year right now, it's like mid-December. I'm actually down here in Big Bend National Park in Southwest Texas. And this is our first time here. We've never been here. And this morning was a perfect example of when this lens really shines. So we did a hike this morning. We hiked to the top of this mountain, about a little over 1,000 feet of elevation gain, hour and 20 minutes to get in the dark with headlamps. But we wanted to be up top at the summit of this trail for when the sun actually came up. 5 minutes after sunrise, we hear a rock wren up here, and it starts working around us. We start working with it. It's in amazing places. The view, like I said, we're up high, looking out over this amazing landscape, and we got a rock wren. So, do you think the only thing I want to do is photograph that thing at 400mm and get a portrait? Hell no. Now, do I want to get a nice portrait of it? And we actually did have some really nice backlight, early morning backlight against a darker hillside. And Emily actually shot this morning. She did. She shot him at 400mm, and then she zoomed out to 28mm and got some beautiful stuff. The versatility of this lens is incredible. 28-400. I just want to say that again. 28mm to 400. This is the all-in-one lens. I love shooting wide, but there's a lot of times where you don't get that opportunity. And so if you're in an area like us, hiking like us, and don't want to drag along a big, heavy piece of gear or multiple lenses, you just want to go out and hike and you don't even know if you're going to see anything, but you want to be ready to photograph anything, this is the lens. First question, I'm sure, right? Is it sharp? Yeah, it's sharp. Is it as sharp as my 400-8? No, of course not, right? Is it as sharp as my 100-400? In a lot of cases, yeah. You know, is this lens going to resolve like the super fine micro detail of like the real fine feather detail of a medium in frame size bird, as well as the 100-400 or Emily's 400-4.5 or the 400-8? No, of course not, right? But is it going to resolve enough detail that it's hard to tell the difference unless you are zoomed in and pixel peeping? Yes, in my experience, yes. So the strengths of this lens, it's so light. It covers every focal range I basically want to shoot, right? You know, of course there's a few times I'd want to go wider than 28, but not many. Of course there's a few times I want to go more than 400, but not many. So this really does cover it. And we're hiking a lot. We don't want to drag along a heavy lens and camera the whole time. So like this setup, I mean, you can have this thing just in your hand and carry it for an hour or two and be fine. Put it on a sling, neck strap, hip strap, throw it in a backpack. It's so tiny and light and just amazing. You don't even feel like it's really there. So it becomes not even a question of, am I going to bring something? We would do a hike in the middle of the day like this, and most of the time, full sun, right? Not a cloud in the sky. Would I bother bringing a camera? Probably not. But there's been opportunities where I've been out and all of a sudden something is like silhouetted up against the sky and it's a bird I've never worked with, or a bird I rarely see, or just some situation happens, or we hit a shady cliff. You know, we're in the mountains and we're on the shady side of a cliff, and like 90% of the hike was in horrible sun that I would never shoot in. And then that 10% is in some light that I would shoot in. And now we have no camera. But with this setup, with this lens, it's coming along all the time. We're always going to bring it. All right, so here's the other downsides. Ready? It's an f4 at 28mm. Not bad, right? f8 at 400mm. I know that's going to turn a lot of people off, right? And I'm telling you guys, a year ago, especially 5 years ago, I would have never dreamt that I was going to be shooting a lens like this. At f8 minimum aperture, I would have been like, forget it, you're crazy, right? But once you know a lot about technique, fieldcraft, background distances and stuff like that, you can get some amazing portraits at f8, and I'm going to show you some. So stay tuned to later in the video. I'm going to go over to the computer and show you a screen recording of some of these photos and let you see for yourself what it looks like with these photos at different focal lengths. We're going to see some stuff at 28 and at 400. So what do I love? Yeah, I love the lightness, the cheapness. It's a really cheap lens. It's fast focusing for what it is. Am I going to be shooting like really fast birds in flight with it? No. Can I shoot some birds in flight with it? Sure, I have already, you know. Does it work in low light? Not as good, but can you get away with it? Yeah. The stabilization between this and the camera body in camera stabilization is great. I've shot, no exaggeration, handheld 1/10 of a second, trying to do some longer exposure, waves crashing along the Pacific coast and stuff like that. Totally sharp, you know, 1/10 of a second. So just like my other lenses, I can hand hold it. And because it's so light, I can hand hold it down into those low shutter speeds even easier and even for like a longer period of time without the weight becoming an issue. Other downsides, like I'd say the biggest downside I've noticed of this lens is smaller in frame stuff in low light, the focus seems less accurate. So it's not that it's not sharp, it's that it will miss and say hit like a branch in front instead, or it'll hit like, it'll focus on the rock instead of the bird, maybe a foot or two in front of it. And this is talking smaller in frame stuff. Once you get in to medium size to frame filling and the eye tracking picks up, it's fine, you know. Is it going to nail as many frames in focus as the higher end glass that's really snappy with focus and faster glass and stuff like that? No, probably not. But are you going to get enough? Yes. And for the price and flexibility of this, to me, it's totally worth it. So that's why we bought this lens. We bought this for we are going to go on a hike. We don't know what we're going to see, but we want to have an option to shoot anything from 28mm to show off all the habitat, just like Emily did this morning and like I've done plenty of times with this lens already, all the way down to the 400mm. And that's fascinating to me, guys. Like if you look through this lens and look at it at 28mm with how wide you're seeing and then just zoom it into 400, how much focal range you're getting in this one package, it's kind of mind-blowing. And the fact that it's as sharp as it is on both ends, and the fact that it's kind of as fast as it is to focus on both ends, like if you go out in decent light, a decent amount of light, I should say. So if it's not the wee hours of the morning or the last bit of light in the evening, and you're shooting in light like that, it's fine. It's almost indistinguishable at that point, other than if you miss focus, it's maybe not as quick to come back, you know? But I gotta say, guys, like absolutely impressed with this lens. Like very impressed with this lens. This lens could have performed half as good as it actually does, and I'd still keep it simply for the convenience, you know? Because there's no other lens for Nikon that covers this focal range and can just be like this one tiny package I can take out with me. So I would not probably make this my main lens, but if you're a beginner wildlife photographer and you don't have a lot of money and you want to invest in a system, this setup right here, I'm telling you, Nikon Z6 III and this 28 to 400 is about the cheapest you can get into full frame, at least for Nikon. I don't know about the other systems and their prices. And you've got yourself a telephoto portrait lens to shoot some really good portraits, guys, and I'll show you in a minute. And you can shoot landscapes, you can shoot wide angle, small in frame subjects for wildlife, and everything in between. I am impressed. I'm really surprised. I'm happy that we have this lens. I'm glad we gave it a shot. And yeah, let's go take a look at some photos. All right, so first things first, we're gonna take a look. Let's just go right to what everybody's probably questioning. 400mm, what's it look like, right? So here's a canyon wren I shot. Here's the raw file, little bit, very minor editing. So, you know, I'll even just reset it so you don't see any edits on it. This is straight out of camera. Let's go ahead and zoom in on this. We're gonna let it render up here. It should take a second, but there you go. All right, so this is 100% zoom right there. I mean, what more do you want, right? That's looking pretty amazing, isn't it? Just really good detail. There's still plenty of feather detail there, you know. Really nice fall off on the background there. And this isn't even frame filling, you know. So let's undo those, the resetting there, and we'll just take a look. So here's like the final edit. And if I were to zoom in on that and check it out, I mean, look at that. Just You know, and this is no additional sharpening, by the way. This is just brought into Photoshop and just edited in my normal workflow. Here's one even closer. This is the raw file we're looking at right here. And again, look at that. I mean, you can see individual eye ring feathers and everything like that, you know, and this is, here's your settings right there. 100th of a second, by the way, at f8 and 1250 ISO. So just like I talked about when I was talking about the camera, the limitation here is when you get into lower light like this, with f8, you're gonna wanna balance that out with a lower shutter speed, in my opinion. That's usually where I go. So I went to 100th of a second on this one just to be able to get the ISO down to 1250 here, because I started out at a higher shutter speed when I first was photographing. I think it was around 250, and my ISO was up pushing like 4,000, 5,000, and well, it's passable. I can get away with it. I don't want to, you know? And so instead, I just went down to 100th of a second and got plenty of sharp photos. So let's look at this particular one right here. Same thing, 100th of a second. So let's get rid of the filter. We'll look at all the rest of what I shot there. Here's some a little bit wider. And again, I'll zoom in here and let you guys see that. So that's somewhat smaller in frame at 330 millimeter. And look at that. I mean, again, will another lens be technically sharper if you really dig in? Probably, but I mean, what more do you need? We're seeing all the feather detail there, the eyes, the bill, everything is sharp right there, and we're shooting like that, getting away with it, you know? Here's one of these slower, look at this, 10th of a second. There might be some movement in there. If so, it's because of the bird moving, but the bird's pretty darn sharp there. And I mean, look at this rock line. Look at that, at 10th of a second. Guys, this is full on handheld. This is not me resting the camera on a rock or anything like that, which I do sometimes when I go to these lower shutter speeds. This is full on handheld at 190 millimeter. Okay, so we're getting to now start to see some of the different focal lengths that you can get away with here. Here's a bird in flight, okay? 1600th of a second, f9, 100 ISO. Look at that. I know it's a silhouette, but like the edges are sharp, the water is all sharp, everything is plenty sharp. You're shooting directly into the sun. You're gonna get a little bit of that weird flaring, but here's what it looks like, guys. Here's what it looks like when you shoot right into the sun. This is really good. I don't expect much better in most circumstances, you know? Here's a standard portrait, 500th of a second, f8. It's like a standard, you know, 500th of a second, 200 ISO, nice low ISO setting, this black turnstone. Look at the sharpness right there, guys. And look at the background fall off, okay? Do you think many people could tell the difference between a shot like this at f8 and a shot like this at 2.8? You know, I don't think many could, because honestly, if you were just a little bit further away and shot at 2.8, the background's not going to look that much different. So when you use proper technique with shorebirds, getting low, with songbirds like this, just having a distant enough background, you can get away with f8. Is it ideal? Of course not. I totally get that. It'd be nicer to have a faster aperture, but the trade-offs that you're getting for this lens to be able to shoot this kind of variation. So I was shooting this guy, and right before that, I stood up and shot this at 47 millimeter, you know? So I was able to do something like that, and then a moment later, turn around, lay on the ground, and shoot this black turnstone, standard telephoto portrait, just like that. Bird in flight here, he just took off. It's not really that high of a shutter speed, 6/40th of a second, but totally passable. Yeah, the wings are blurred, but I'm always fine with that. I like the sharp head and a little bit of wing blur. I was just shooting portraits and he did that, you know. Here's another one. Let's get a zoom in on this guy here. Looking decent. Looks like I caught focus on the bubbles instead of the bird there, and that's what I'm talking about. You might find some inaccuracies with that, just a little bit off. Let's see how he did on this one. This one's looking a good bit better there, you know? So this one looks like it caught focus in the right focal plane, and now we're sharp again. So I gotta tell you guys, I'm thoroughly impressed. I absolutely love this lens. I did some really interesting stuff with it. Here you go, 1/5 of a second. This one, I can't remember 100%, but I think I may have had the camera resting on something for it. So it doesn't really speak to being handheld, but it does speak to the low light nature of it. The head is probably not as sharp as it could be here, probably just because the bird moved, because I'm at a 1/5 of a second, right? shooting down into the water, this harbor seal just bobbing around 2/50th of a second in the water, you know, moving around. Again, like we can see whiskers there. Is this perfectly nailed, absolute fine detail sharp? Probably not, right? It could be a little bit better, but I don't expect much better with most lenses I shoot, honestly. So that's the variety there that I have to show you right now. Here's another rock wren, 3/20th of a second, f8, 2000 ISO, zoomed into 100% right there. Look at that sharpness. Looking really good. And here's, again, here's the beauty, right? This was down the short line, off to my right a bunch, and then he flew over, and then I was able to do this with this same lens. 28mm, look at that sharpness. Looking really good right there. So to be able to do both of these shots with one lens in a moment, that's kind of impressive. So even if you view these and you're like, yeah, it could be a little sharper, it could be more fine detail. Again, we're viewing this, if you're watching this on YouTube on the larger screen, I'm uploading this in 4K. I'm recording it in 4K, so you're seeing a good sharpness out of the screen. By the time you downsize this, resize it for most use online, so sharing on Instagram, Facebook, other social media platforms like that, by the time you scale them down for that and share it, you're not going to see any of that detail anyway that you would be missing in that real fine detail of the super high-end lens. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing in my kit in here that is better and sharper than that 400-2.8. It's the sharpest lens by far I have, and sometimes it's like, I see the images, I'm like amazed at how sharp it is. But once I resize it down for sharing online, none of that matters. It's all gone. These photos are just as sharp for that purpose at that point. So that's what I wanted to show you guys here. I hope you kind of appreciate this feedback and review. It is not a lens I ever expected to really like and love, but I've done some stuff I'm really happy with here, and I'll show you guys just some of my my favorites from this lens. So here's some of the stuff I've shot with this lens in just the past couple of weeks. I truly love it. I think it can give you a lot of variety. It's certainly not my favorite lens, but it is a lens that is very important in my kit, and I think you can do some amazing stuff with it, especially for that price. So that's my thoughts on this lens. Hope you guys enjoyed it.